Honestly, what was Alex's problem during the whole Addison tube tying saga in season 2? I still can't wrap my head around why he was so bothered by Addison's decision to tie that patient's tubes after she asked for it. Sure, it was technically lying to the husband, but Alex acted like it was some monumental betrayal. And for what? Let's be real, that patient was in an abusive relationship. If you're terrified of your husband finding out that you're saving your own life by getting birth control because of his religious beliefs, that's abuse, plain and simple. It frustrates me so much when fans call Alex, especially early season Alex, a real man. No, he wasn't. He was an arrogant jerk who projected his own issues onto real people and clearly had no understanding of proper bedside manner. And let's be honest here, Alex was just salty because he didn't want to be working under Addison in the OB/GYN department. He didn't want to be there, so he did everything he could to make sure he never had to deal with Addison again. The root of it, misogyny. Alex had a serious problem with women making decisions for themselves, and let's face it, he was a misogynist. I think his issue boiled down to a couple of things. 1. A woman dared to make a decision about her body without asking for her husband's permission. 2. He thought he was too good to be stuck working with women and babies. Overall, it was just a deep disrespect for women's autonomy, women's healthcare, and women in general. If the couple had only 1 or 2 kids, I might have been able to understand where Alex was coming from, but we're talking about a couple with 7 kids already. And Alex still felt bad for the husband who couldn't have more kids. Really? Honestly, I don't think I'll ever fully get on board with Cristina. When I first watched Grey's Anatomy, I couldn't stand her. Yeah, she was funny, but also a total bully with absolutely zero bedside manner. I finished the show, took a breather, and came back to it a while later, watched Sex and the City in between, where I ended up loving Miranda Hobbs. That, for some reason, made me kind of warm up to Cristina at first during my rewatch. But then, of course, she got her own interns, and it was like I had a full-on relapse. Seriously, don't get me started on the way she treated them. Magic? More like nightmare. The way she bullied Lexi? Oh, I cannot. Watching her get shut out of surgeries and completely ignored was mildly satisfying, not gonna lie. And no, I'm not saying it was justified, but it was a little cathartic. So yeah, my opinion of her is definitely better than the first time, but I'm still not about to crown her the perfect character. I've never outright hated Cristina, but let's be real. The fandom gives her way too many free passes for being nasty or straight-up dismissive of everyone around her. Like, no one's perfect, but come on. But credit where it's due. Through all the chaotic mess with Burke and Owen, she stuck to who she was. That kind of commitment to being a complete mess is almost impressive. Gotta respect a woman who knows exactly what she wants in life, and it's clearly not you or anyone else. Now, let's talk about how she and Alex treated April. Because honestly, that was just straight-up bullying for 2 seasons. When I first saw it as a teenager, I thought it was funny. But now, as an adult, it was straight-up awful. Like awful. Despite all that, I still love Cristina. Sandra Oh knocked it out of the park, and seeing a female character so unapologetically not wanting kids was revolutionary in its own way. Would I be friends with her? Absolutely not. But hey, this is fiction, and I can still forgive her for things that, in real life, would absolutely make me cut ties. Okay, so Robin's Torres, the custody case for Sophia. I'm currently on season 12, episode 23, and let me tell you, this has been one of the most riveting storylines I've seen so far. Truly, I found it nearly impossible to pick a side, so many tough decisions to be made. Now, with my background in childcare and psychology, because why not throw that in there for some credibility? I can confidently say both Torres and Robbins are stellar candidates. I mean, how would a judge ever choose between them? It's a real toughie, right? But then, if I were the judge, and I'm clearly qualified with my vast experience, the deciding factor would be, hands down, Tora's decision to not only uproot Sophia's life, but to basically throw her career under the bus for what? Some resident tale that she's been involved with for, what, like a year? Maybe less? Real solid foundation for long-term life decisions, right? Meanwhile, you've got Arizona, one of the few fetal surgeons in the country, who might have an unpredictable schedule, but hey, at least she's not messing with Sophia's entire existence for a relationship that's still fresh and a bit unstable. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Arizona on this one. It seems like she's the one who actually wants what's best for Sophia, not just to score some personal satisfaction. Now, let's talk about Callie. Should she have been granted custody? Absolutely not. You have a mother who's willing to yank Sophia away from her other parent, her whole support system, and her home, just so she can chase a barely year-long relationship with someone she's already broken up with a couple of times. Oh, and don't forget, Callie wasn't even comfortable with Sophia meeting Penny just a few episodes back. But sure, let's go ahead and you penned a child's life for that. Genius move. Penny's internship was only a year long anyway. Callie could have just visited her girlfriend without dragging Sophia into all of it. But hey, what do I know? Arizona was the right choice, hands down. Oh, you want a surgical showdown? I've got you covered. Let's dive into the chaos, shall we? First off, Amelia operating on Dr. Herman's brain tumor in season 11, chef's kiss. The tension was thicker than a hospital gown, and the acting? Top tier. You could practically feel the weight of every scalpel cut. It wasn't just a surgery. It was a heart-stopping, edge-of-your-seat thriller where the stakes actually felt real. I mean, this was the kind of stuff that makes you wonder why you haven't taken up brain surgery yourself, until, you remember you're terrified of needles. Then there's Han, who, despite being one of the most insufferable characters in the series, did one thing right. Keeping Izzy on the case of the guy she literally stole Denny's heart from. Let's be real, Han's usually just a thorn in everyone's side, but credit where credit's due. That move was almost justified, and you know it. Oh, and the kid who got stuck in cement? Classic. Because what says gripping drama more than a kid whose greatest life decision was sticking himself in wet concrete? A real high point of, oh, I see where this is going, and I don't like it. Then there's Isaac's tumor. Remember that? It was such a mess. Even the tumor was like, do you want me to leave? Or should I stay for another round of drama? An emotional roller coaster, for sure. And who could forget the convict? Arizona's big entrance, all loaded up with moral and ethical dilemmas galore. Should they give the guy meds for his pain, or let him suffer a little longer to maybe get that liver for the kid? Oh, and his little headbutt against the board to try and off himself, just casually tossing in some extra wildness for fun. And let's not overlook Richard, who's practically begging everyone for a replacement kidney, because apparently, this whole show is a walking, talking ethical minefield. So yeah, those were the surgical storylines that really had the writers saying, let's throw every possible twist at them and see if they survive. And somehow, we all did. Ah, Owen and assisted dying. Always a fun topic for a good debate. So everyone loves to throw around the idea that Owen somehow hates mercy killings, and then conveniently ignores the fact that he's later on fine with them. Classic inconsistency accusation. But honestly, the only time Owen really hates assisted dying is when he's knee-deep in PTSD, triggered by his old war trauma, where he had to mercy kill a friend. The whole thing isn't some random contradiction in his character. It's him grappling with the aftermath of a traumatic experience. So yeah, PTSD Owen is definitely anti-assisted dying, but regular Owen, not so much. I don't think we're forgetting anything here. People just love to hate on Owen, so they rewrite his story to fit their narrative. Seriously, the first episode ends with Owen literally admitting that his issue with assisted dying is entirely due to PTSD. He even has a heart-to-heart with the patient's partner, talking her through the dying process like a decent human being. But somehow, that gets glossed over because people prefer to pretend that Owen has this inexplicable vendetta against the patient, even though the resolution is right there in front of them. Here's the thing. The show didn't handle it very well. The two events, his PTSD struggle and his later acceptance of assisted dying, were treated as if they were completely separate, and that's where it falls apart. He's all no in one instance, then a flip gets switched and suddenly he's all for it. It makes it seem like Owen has some weird double standard, as if it's only okay if he does it, and if the people involved happen to be veterans. Which honestly makes no sense. His method was illegal, while Teddy's situation was all above board. The problem here is a writing issue, not a character one. There's no gradual shift, no explanation for why he's suddenly so pro-assisted dying. Just because the PTSD triggers don't seem to hit him anymore doesn't mean his whole stance should flip. I mean, there are still moments where his interactions with veterans stir those old wounds, so it's not like they magically disappeared. This whole thing could have been easily fixed with a little more attention to continuity. Imagine Teddy confronting him, asking him to explain why he's now cool with assisted dying when he was so dead set against it before. It would have made so much sense, especially since Owen's actions end up affecting Teddy's life in a pretty big way, and she's not exactly thrilled about it. A little reminder of the old case could have gone a long way. So what's the deal with everyone hating Maggie on this sub? Does she suddenly go full villain in some future season, or is this just a Reddit thing? Because honestly, I'm not seeing it. I'm on season 16, by the way. Honestly, this sub is like an echo chamber. You'll find characters who are hated here, but totally adored in other corners of the internet. I never realized Maggie was so universally disliked until I started reading this place. I always thought she was a little annoying, sure, and maybe her maturity level is stuck in high school, but I never thought she was that bad. I actually love Maggie. She has some of the funniest one-liners that literally make me crack up, and her lisp? Adorable. Like, how can anyone not love that? But yeah, I get it. She's emotional, childish, and definitely not what you'd expect from a good surgeon based on what the show has drilled into our heads. And okay, her whiny moments can get a little much, like, girl, just move on already. Hot take. Mark and Cristina could have been like Alex and Mur. I mean, picture it. Do you see the vision? I honestly think they had the potential to be the next iconic duo. Like, it could have been so fun. They're both hilarious in their own ways, and I can totally see how they could have bounced off each other. Remember that one episode when Mark tried flirting with Cristina? Not only did she completely shut him down, but she also laughed in his face like he was the joke. Seriously though, hard agree. That whole moment where Mark tried to be smooth, and she just couldn't hold it together. Priceless. It would have been a vibe if they kept that up. On my fourth rewatch, I'm so done with Bailey's arc. I'm currently around season 11, and every time I see it, I get more frustrated. The way her character has developed feels so completely disconnected from where she started. Like, seriously, what happened to the Bailey who respected her patient's wishes, struggled with OCD, and had a strong moral backbone? Instead, we get this version who just ignores it all, her parents' wishes on treatments, her sense of responsibility. It's like they just threw all of that out the window. I've never watched past season 13, so I'm hoping it gets better. Does the OG Bailey ever make a comeback? Does she ever have a redeeming moment? Because honestly, after she becomes chief, she becomes insufferable. She went from one of the most compelling characters on the show to one of the most irritating. I just don't get what the writers were thinking with her development. Most characters on the show have a natural progression. They evolve into who they're supposed to be. But with Bailey, it's like they completely rewrote her personality. The Bailey I loved is practically a stranger to the Bailey we get in later seasons. And while I do appreciate how they handled her OCD, it's a very real, relatable part of her character. I feel like that's the only thing they got right. Everything else just feels off, like they didn't know who she was anymore. It's honestly frustrating to watch.